Hello friends, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Why don't you go down and hit the subscribe button and tap the bell so you don't miss any episodes. For my fans and subscribers, welcome back. I really do appreciate the patronage. Today's topic is Jim Jones and Father Divine. And if you don't know who Father Divine is, you will at the end of this episode. Father Divine was an enigma wrapped in a puzzle, starting from his birth. Most historians guesstimate that he was born sometime in 1879 or 1880 to a former slave in Rockville, Maryland, and that his birth name was probably George Baker. He was fascinated with Christianity, and that led him to follow many evangelists, each claiming that they had the only true path to God. Of course, because that's what Christians do. He basically cherry-picked from these evangelists, keeping what suited him while discarding the rest, which, of course, is something else that Christians do. He rechristened himself the Messenger around 1912, maintaining that the gospel could be preached without money. His message, in a nutshell, was that we don't have to wait for some pie-in-the-sky heaven that will only be realized after death. Heaven, he said, could be found only on earth. He also maintained that hymns were written by white people in an attempt to trick blacks into believing they should suffer now in exchange for a heavenly reward. If people were kind to each other, progress would follow. It was about this time that he claimed to be God on earth. In the beginning, he based ministry in the South, but was opposed by white law enforcement, so he relocated to New York, where he started housing for his followers. The rules were strict: no smoking, swearing, drinking, or sex. He welcomed newcomers as long as they would abide by the rules. He then placed his followers in jobs and formed a work collective. He pulled the salaries to cover group expenses. In return, he provided shelter, food, and clothing. Many came to him out of desperation, being physically or emotionally unable to cope. He expanded to offer physical therapy to those who needed it and started training programs. They considered themselves a family, and Father Divine encouraged them to call him Father and his wife Mother. He moved his flock to Long Island in the 1910s because he didn't want them sullied by the art and music that was flourishing in Harlem in the 1910s. By now, he had thousands of followers because his message to enjoy life now crossed racial barriers. On Long Island, he began reading books about economic empires because he wanted to build more communal colonies. At about this time, his welcome wore out on Long Island. The community in which they were established grew more and more uneasy about such an interracial group, so Divine started preaching on the circuit more. Some people to whom he preached decided to establish communes of their own. These were called peace missions. This was a time of great racial tensions in America, and I don't mean to harp on race, but unfortunately at this time it was a huge topic in America. Please be assured that I am not excusing the blatant racism in America in the 50s and 60s. However, if I don't report on the racial tensions, I am not doing my job and reporting completely and accurately. Some disillusioned followers left the commune and started to complain to the authorities about being mistreated. Also, Divine was being attacked behind the pulpit. In 1932, Divine was sentenced to a year in jail for various frauds. He only served a few months. Afterward, the peace movement flourished, and he opened movement-owned businesses, including hotels and restaurants. Followers stayed in the hotels while empty rooms were rented out for $1 a night. The restaurants charged what the guests felt the meals were worth. Other businesses financed further expansion. In the 1930s, some of his trusted associates left the movement and accused Divine of keeping his followers as slaves. Also, one accused him of cheating her out of money and property. When a New York judge ruled against him, he moved his headquarters to Philadelphia in 1942. His wife, Penniniah, got sick, and despite his promise to cure her, she died in 1943. Then, in 1946, he married a 21-year-old, claiming that his new wife had Penniniah's spirit in her, and therefore he had healed her after all. After that, he began preaching reincarnation. I want to assure anyone who believes in reincarnation that I am not making fun of you. You have the right to believe whatever you want to believe. However, Father Divine said he was going to cure Penniniah. She dies. 3 years later, he marries a 21-year-old and claims that Penniniah's spirit is in that 21-year-old, and he cured her after all. As we Americans say, something's rotten in the land of Denmark. Danes, nothing against you. It's just a thing we have here in the United States. Basically, it doesn't pass the smell test. However, Mother and Father Divine certainly didn't live in a commune. In 1953, they lived in a mansion in an upscale suburb on 72 acres. To be fair, the core of their followers did live with them. Here, Divine occasionally counseled young preachers who aspired to bring about equality in their ministry. In 1956-57, Jones requested an audience with Divine because of his large mixed-race church. Divine granted Jones's request, although Jones most likely told Divine about People's Temple programs. He was there to learn, not brag. Jones wanted to know about communal living, how movement businesses provided jobs for followers, and the promised land farming project. This was only the first of many meetings between the two men. He adopted some of Divine's mannerisms, such as encouraging temple members to call him Father and Marceline Mother. He upgraded his wardrobe because Divine told him the appearance of success was important. Jones believed that the key for Divine doing what he did was that he reached those in poverty and those who were alienated. Jones discussed with Haldeman how Divine controlled every aspect of his followers' lives, including small rituals like blessing every pot and insisting that they wait until he blessed the food until they ate, no matter how hungry they were. Jones felt that such rituals were necessary to reinforce the leader's authority. Slowly, Haldeman realized that Jones not only wanted to emulate Father Divine, but to get his followers after he died. However, Divine claimed to be immortal, so this was an obstacle. Jones thought that he might be able to use Divine's own trick of claiming that the original Mother Divine had transferred her spirit to a younger body to get them to believe that Divine had transferred his spirit into Jones. Well, friends, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, press the subscribe button, and if you want to know when I come out with new content, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. My Twitter, Discord, email, and PayPal links are in the description, along with the source I used for this video. The best way to contact me is via Twitter. The next best is email. Please leave comments in the comment section. Not only do I love hearing from you, but it also triggers the YouTube algorithm. If you have any requests, you can leave those in the comment section as well. Keep learning and searching for truth. Here are a few videos from my library. If you have not watched them yet, go ahead and watch them and tell me what you think. Until next time, friends, goodbye and stay safe.